Hello, welcome back to the Wolf's Corner. I am your host, and today we are returning to Vraks for the final time. Last we left, the siege had taken a turn for the worse, as there are now clear signs that a demon incursion was about to commence. So the Ordo Malleus Lord Inquisitor Hector Rex had officially taken charge of the entire operation, and now was heading to Vraks with significant reinforcements. When they finally arrived above Vraks, Rex planned to create a noose around the Vraks Citadel that steadily closed until the traitors were strangled out of existence. The first assault to begin this process was launched by the 30th Line Corps, who ran into what was called a green hell of Nurgle warbands, demon engines, Nurgle spawn, and chemical warfare for 8 entire days. Inquisitors tried to break the stalemate that formed from this miserable fight by using their own chemical weapons. Maybe the Inquisitors should have remembered that the Plague Marines are rather unaffected by things like chemical weapons, so all this did was add to the green hell. Now, while the 30th Line Corps got bogged down, other Krieg offensives advanced slowly, though with the regular casualties I think we've all come to expect from these offensives. But through sheer number and the iron will of their commanders to not give up, the Imperials closed the noose around the traitors. Now, while this was occurring, the Imperials had one surprising ally. The Chaos Warbands that arrived to fight the Imperials hated each other almost as much as they hated the Imperials. And with dwindling supplies and morale finally beginning to falter, the Warbands became embroiled in petty squabbles with each other. The Lord of the Skulltakers Warband, Zuffor, wanted to prolong the war on Vraks so his men could offer more skulls up to their god. So he decided that, well, to do this, I'm going to take over the war effort on Vraks myself. And thus, he launched a coup against the other traitors, taking over the Berserkers of Scalanthrax, the Black Brethren of Iris, and the Sanctified Warbands directly. Arcos and his men showed their deceptive nature by allying with Zuffor and letting him into the Cardinal's palace. There they massacred all of Zaphan's followers and locked the good old Cardinal in a dungeon. Of course, they kept him as the official figurehead, but Zuffor was the real warlord of Vraks right now. While the traitors were tearing themselves apart, Rex launched an attack against Hangman's Hill, which had multiple defense laser batteries that protected the Citadel. Slowly but surely, the Imperials took each of the positions in one bloody assault after another. The primary summit in particular fell only after 3 failed attacks. But at last, the Imperials could see the Vraks Citadel with their own eyes. But of course, even during victory, Imperial politics rear their heads to screw regular Imperials over. Rex's success was not welcomed by everyone, and several of his rivals in the Inquisition played their hands to get a dozen siege regiments of the army withdrawn from a decree from the High Lords themselves. Rex did not let this stop him, as he ordered an attack against the well-named Gate 579-459, which was a key point leading to the Citadel. The offensive nearly fell apart when Khorne Berserkers and Chaos Terminators launched a counterattack, but the Guard's sheer numerical superiority, combined with a thrust by the army's armored units, beat back this counterattack. And this one moment is the best example yet of the strength of the Imperial Guard. Yes, individually they cannot match a Chaos Space Marine, but luckily the Guardsmen do not come in individual numbers, and they always have the big tanks to back them up. With that, the 88th Siege Army was finally ready to attack the final defensive position on Vraks after 17 years of constant war. But of course, all the fighting was nothing compared to what they faced. The Citadel was not called that because it looked pretty. Rex knew that the slopes around the Citadel were open kill zones, and Chaos Space Marines might begin to summon demons to fight the Guard during this attack. Rex knew, however, that these attacks were necessary, so he planned 3 different assaults against the Citadel. Despite the 3 assaults being supported by armor, artillery, air power, and a Gorgon advance, the enemy met them with brutal determination. The Krieg troops lost incredible numbers, but the constant barrage by artillery and air power overwhelmed the Citadel's void shields, allowing the guns to target the fort itself. As the Guard advanced up the slopes, the enemy held back their fire until the Guard were close. Then it became a complete bloodbath. The central ravine around the Citadel was fought over for 7 days, and not even the involvement of Titans could win the position for the Imperials. Lord Rex called on the Red Hunters to take the position, and so 150 Battle Brothers deployed from drop pods in high orbit. Sadly, they fell right into a trap as, remember, their enemies were Space Marines as well, so they anticipated this move. The entire force of Red Hunters were surrounded and completely destroyed. The Guardsmen were unable to help them due to enemy fire and poor visibility. And while the Red Hunters were destroyed, other Imperial attacks saw 2 whole regiments wiped out. Lord Rex called off the assault a day afterwards, but he was not finished yet. Organizing a force of 68 Marauder bombers, Lord Rex launched another assault on the ravine. This time, the combination of heavy air power, Krieg tactics, and a Titan offensive won the ravine for the Imperium. Afterwards, the entire front advanced, in some spots getting close to the walls. But this is where the Black Brothers of Iris attacked, pushing some forces away from the wall. But the Guardsmen did have numbers on their side, and so over the course of a single day, some positions changed hands 6 times. While this bloodletting was going on, the Sanctified were using prisoners as sacrifice to bring forth terrifying demon engines against the Imperials. This was met by an offensive led by the Grey Knights and Lord Rex himself. With support from the Krieg troops, the Imperials overwhelmed the traitors and captured the lower gate spur leading up to the center of the Citadel. This success was exploited by the Red Hunters and the reappeared Red Scorpions chapters. Deploying to the gate, they launched a Land Raider assault against the St. Leonis Gate, which was one of the main entrances to the Citadel. The Space Marines Land Raiders drove the traitors back, only to come face to face with the demonic hordes the Sanctified had managed to unleash through a warp rift they created. Bloodletters, Fleshhounds, and Juggernauts smashed into the Imperial lines, but the Astartes held firm. At the same time, Lord Rex's assault on the Cardinal's Gate, another entrance to the Citadel, was having greater success against the demonic forces thanks to the Grey Knights leading the assault. All was going well until a true horror appeared. The greatest bloodthirster of Khorne, Angrath the Unbound, appeared from out of the demon's ranks. Angrath cleaved a Land Raider in 2 with a single blow and managed to kill the Grey Knight captain Arturus with ease. Remember when I mentioned how epic a man Hector Rex was? Well, the Lord Inquisitor stood against Angrath by himself. After a brutal battle, Rex was able to plunge his sword deep into Angrath's black heart and banish him back into the warp, to no doubt answer his master's fury at being defeated by a single mortal. At this point, the siege was almost finally complete when a new force arrived. The Angels of Absolution, acting under orders from old Supreme Grand Master Azrael himself, suddenly appeared to help the Imperials. Literally dropping down on top of the Alpha Legion's forces in the Citadel, the Angels finally managed to capture Arcos after he killed Master Yafrir of the Angels. It was Interrogator Chaplain Belphegor from before who knocked Arcos out and put him in chains. He would not make the same mistake again. After so long, the Angels finally had their captive, and they were not going to let him get away. Hunting down and destroying his own ship, the Angels quickly defeated his warband and dragged Arcos and several other Alpha Legionnaires back to the Rock for the gentle questioning of the Interrogator Chaplains of the First Legion's successors. At the same time, the final assault against the traitors was launched. The Krieg artillery and air power pummeled the Citadel, at the same time that Krieg engineers dug underneath the defenses and blew open new breaches for the troops to pour through. Lord Rex, exhausted at this point, still pushed on to lead the final sweeps of the Citadel with the Red Scorpions, Red Hunters, and Grey Knights. The force wiped out any demons and traitors they encountered. While conducting these sweeps, they finally found 2 horrors. First, they found the wretched Colonel Zaphan, reduced to a pathetic chaos spawn. A fitting fate for such a worm as him, if you ask me. But the other horror was more tragic. The Sisters of Battle, who had been charged with guarding the Citadel all those years ago, were found in the dungeons, speechless after suffering 18 years of torture at the hands of the traitors. Like the cowards they are, many traitors fled through the warp rifts created by the Sanctified, including Zufor and his warband. But in one last, desperate effort, the Sanctified summoned the demon prince Uraka Azbaramiel, who, like so many demons, has a ridiculously complicated name, to bleed the Imperials. But this last-ditch play was met by a fresh force of Grey Knights who appeared from orbit, led by Brother Captain Stern. With a vicious struggle, Uraka was banished back into the warp by Captain Stern and his brothers, who combined their psychic abilities to seal the warp rift in the central Citadel. With that, the war for Vraks was finally over. After 17 years, 14 million guardsmen, hundreds of space marines, 9 Titan princeps, 4 inquisitors, and the entire population of the world, the Siege of Vraks was officially concluded. While the original goal was theoretically complete, Vraks was so heavily tainted by chaos that the Inquisition quarantined the world and barred any other Imperial visits to the planet. Not that it was useful anymore anyway. Its armories had been used up during the war, and the infrastructure had been completely ruined by the siege. The survivors of the siege departed the planet after undergoing checks by the Inquisition to ensure no chaos corruption left with them for other war zones, while the Ordo Malleus conducted extensive interviews about the events of the war. And there you have it. We have reached the end of the Siege of Vraks. Thank you all for following this series. For the last time, at least for these videos, which series of lore would you want to see next? The Badab War or the Wars for Armageddon? And as always, for more good Warhammer lore and stories, check out the channel links in the description. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please help the channel grow. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. This is the Wolf's Corner. Have a good day.